Hello again, a very warm welcome to you all. My name is Deni Kay and I'm here today with a bottle of Compass Box Hedonism. This is a blended grain whiskey. It is the first grain whiskey that I have reviewed and I am a huge fan of Compass Box. I absolutely love the presentation, the bottle, the label. I think that the presentation is absolutely second to none. The other thing that I really appreciate is the fact that you could pick up, for most part, a bottle, and on the back label you will have a bit of a breakdown as to what parcels of whiskey or distilleries in terms of, and also cask types as well, actually make up the blend along with some percentages. Now that's not the case with this one here. So I think from what I've read, grain distilleries such as Cameron Bridge, Port Dundas, Canberra are the ones that will normally come up, and I think it may vary from batch to batch. Now, however, all that aside, every batch that I've had I've quite enjoyed. The Hedonism was, if I'm not mistaken, launched in about the year 2000. Now, it is bottled at 43% ABV, a non-age statement, as we've come accustomed to with Compass Box, but it doesn't really matter. All that aside, I think with this one, very well put together. Now, what I was going to say is matured in 100% matured in first fill American oak casks, and it has not been filtered and its natural color. Now, I believe that if you are a single malt snob and you are not a fan of blends, there are certainly some blends that Compass Box produce that if you were to have them blind, or maybe even not blind, you would absolutely appreciate them. So absolutely, if you've not had anything from Compass Box, I would advise you to go out and pick up a bottle, because I think that you will be pleasantly surprised, and if you have, then you know exactly what I'm talking about in terms of the quality. Now, all of that aside, I think that this bottle here actually plays a very, I guess you could say, interesting part in a whiskey lineup. I'll go through that in a moment, because I would like to just go through, smell, taste, my thoughts, and obviously score, as I would normally go through. Before then, I potentially go on and waffle on a little bit, which I know that I do have the tendency to do every now and again, and I really have to be mindful of that. Now, anyway, the nose, absolutely fantastic, really, really sweet. Vanilla, absolutely so much vanilla, very, very creamy, some custard. Then what you're getting is some tropical notes like some coconut, which is fantastic, right? A touch of banana, also some creamy chocolate. If you're a fan of vanilla slice, if you are a fan of coconut ruffs, you will absolutely adore the nose on this. It is very, very sweet, and it's just very Moorish as well. I've really been meaning to sit down and review this for quite some time. 43% ABV. Now, what you are getting initially is the sweetness out of the vanilla that I mentioned earlier, along with some really nice caramel notes that come through too. Along with some spice, it is a tad spirituous. Spirit driven, you are getting some bitterness that comes through. Now, obviously, first fill American oak casks may contribute to that, but it also reminds me a little bit of either some freshly brewed black tea, and also even sometimes you'll get a bitter almond that is quite simply just down to the skin of the almond, just really, really bitter, and that is exactly what I'm tasting right now as well. Now, that apart as well, it is very, very creamy. Chocolate is there, yes, absolutely. You are getting a touch of spice. It is I would call it maybe a medium finish. It's a touch thin on the finish, but I'm getting that bitterness just continues to linger through with some sweetness as well. Now, what I'm going to do is it's 43% ABV. I'm going to literally just put a drop or so of water in this as well, right? And there we have it. Now, earlier I said I think that this plays a part in a whiskey lineup, and I think that this is a fantastic dram to actually start the night off with. 43% ABV, a very simple sipper. Start off with a grain, a blend. It is not overly complex or challenging, and I think that it absolutely is just fantastic in terms of perhaps just setting the palate for the evening. And I think that most people can really appreciate it for what it is anyway. It's not a world beater. It's not something that you're going to drink and it's going to absolutely change your life or anything along those lines, but it's about $100 a bottle, right? So I don't really think that many people have had a bottle for $100 and thought it was the absolute best whiskey that they've ever had. But as I said, I think it plays a part in that regard very, very well. And for what it is, I think it's a very, very, very well put together whiskey. Now, with a little bit of water, really what I'm getting now is some brulee that comes through. Absolutely fantastic. Still very, very creamy. A lot of vanilla that's present. But it is certainly far lighter and delicate. So earlier on, the nose was just a really big, sweet, I guess you could say, punch. It was a lot of sweet notes that were coming at you. That's really sort of diluted or died down now. The reason I added water is because the bitterness that is there to begin with, it doesn't completely disappear, but it really does die down. And then what happens is it just becomes very, very creamy. The chocolate notes I mentioned earlier, absolutely. Also a little bit of white peach comes through now as well. Still a lot of caramel. Custard, yes, absolutely. I mentioned earlier coconut on the nose. A drop of water really brings out that coconut as well. A really milky chocolate. As I mentioned, the bitterness absolutely goes away for the most part. The spice that I mentioned earlier that was just faintly there, really not there anymore neither. Still a medium finish. So I think the thing that water does is really just help with two things. One, it doesn't feel to me as spirituous, and then the other one also is the bitterness really dies down. So I think for what this is, I absolutely think that it is a solid 7 out of 10. Price point is great. The actual whiskey is fantastic. I think it is the perfect dram to start the night off with, and I will often do that when I sit down. I really just want something that is absolutely easy drinking. So as I said earlier, if you are not a huge fan of blends, if you are a snob and you only want to drink single malts, I really do think that anything you pick up from Compass Box can absolutely challenge that thought, because I think that the proposition is fantastic. They tell you what's in the bottle. It's very well priced. If you were to have a blind, there are absolutely some out there that you may not even be able to pick as a blend. And in fact, I've put some to people blindly before, just for a little bit of fun, and they've not been able to pick it as a blend. So there you have it. Anyway, thank you very much once again for joining me. I hope you have enjoyed it. Cheers once again. Till next time.